सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ श्री गणेशाय नमः। ॐ श्री सरस्वत्यै नमः। ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवं परमानन्दमाधवम्। सर्ववेदान्तसिद्धान्त गोचरं तमगोचरं गोविन्दं परमानन्दं सद्गुरुं प्रणतोऽस्म्यहम्। So in the last session, we started the topic of sūkṣmaśarīraṃ, subtle body. First we understood what do we mean by sūkṣma. Sūkṣma, subtle means what? That which cannot be perceived by external organs. Right? You can perceive my voice, you can perceive my form, but you cannot perceive my thoughts. So my thoughts are subtle level, or rather subtler than my voice and than my form. So that which cannot be perceived by external organs is called as subtle. Right? Now there are many things which are subtle. Which of those are part of subtle body? That is the topic that we started with. Shankaracharya ji first explains individual parts of subtle body, and then he will put all those parts together and will define what exactly is subtle body. So last session we saw Jnanendriya, Karmendriya. First verse number 92 explained what are the 5 Jnana Indriyas. Jnana Indriyas, 5 organs of knowledge or 5 organs of perception. What are they? Ears, skin, eyes, nose and tongue. These are organs of knowledge. Why? Because they collect the data from the outside. They know outside world. Vishaya avabodhanat. Since they know the sense objects, they give the knowledge of the sense objects, they are called as Jnanendriya. Indriya organ, Jnana knowledge, organ of knowledge. And what are the Karmendriyas? What are the 5 organs of action? Vak, speech, pani, hands, pada, legs, gudam, anus and upastha, genital. Right? So these are 5 what? Organs of action. What do they do? Karma supravanena, because they engage in action. Speech is an action. What I do with my hands, lifting, is an action. What I do with my legs, walking, is an action. So these are called as organs of action. Why? Because they engage in action. Now here one important point we saw, that Indriya is different from Golaka. Indriya organ is power behind the golaka, which is aperture. So golaka means aperture, the eye, the physical eye that you see. The physical ear, physical nose, physical tongue, physical skin that you see are all called as golaka, aperture. They are part of gross body. Here we are talking about indriya, which is part of subtle body. Indriya means what? The power behind the physical eye to see. So the power to see is called as chakshur indriya, the organ of eye. Careful, this is very important point. Similarly, the hands, my hands you are able to see, these are physical hands. This is golaka. But there is a power behind that hand to lift things. That is indriya. That is part of subtle body. Because suppose I get paralytic attack. Suppose then my hand is not able to move. Is hand there? Yes, it is there. You can see. But is it able to lift things? No. Why? Because the power behind that hand is not functioning. Power to lift is not functioning. Power to walk is not functioning. Legs may be there. What you see is physical, gross. The power behind these organs is what we call as indriya, which is subtle. So indriyas are part of subtle body, not part of gross body. Golakas are part of gross body. Golaka means apertures, what you see. Right? Eye, ear, everything that you see, these are golakas. They are part of gross body. Getting the difference, indriya and golaka. Right. Then what? These are called as bahya indriya, outer organs, which the jnanendriyas and karmendriyas, the 5 organs of perception, 5 organs of action are called as bahya-indriyas. Bahya-indriyas means outer instruments. Outer instruments means what? They are in touch with the outer world. They either collect the data, input. Jnanendriyas are input and karmendriyas are output in computer language, in electronic language. I/O they say, input output. So interface is this jnanendriya and karmendriya. We don't have any other way of knowing things outside other than jnanendriyas. And we don't have any other way of functioning outside other than karmendriyas. Now, compared to them, there are instruments which are inner. They are called as antarindriya or antahkarana. Karana means instrument, same meaning. Antahkarana means inner instrument. Inner compared to bahyendriya, okay? Antahkarana, inner instrument. What is this inner instrument? This inner instrument, antahkarana, is fourfold. Chatushtaya. What are they? Mana, buddhi, ahankara and chitta. Mana, mind. Buddhi, intellect. Ahankara, ego. And chitta, memory. Now Shankaracharya goes on to explain why these are called by these names. Why these terms are used for mentioning this. So mana is called mana. Why? Sankalpa vikalpanadibihi. Because it has a constant, what we say, mode of oscillation. It keeps changing. Indecisive mode. Sankalpa vikalpa. I decide something, then I reject it. Then I decide something else, then I again reject it. Should I do? Should I go? Should I do? No. I think tomorrow. No, I think I should do today. Too many oscillations. So that mode of oscillation, indecision, is called as mana. Manyate anena, that by which we think. We are thinking, we have not decided. We say also, no? So what have you decided? Are you coming or not coming? I am thinking. I am thinking means I have not yet decided. I am thinking. That is the function of mana. Whereas when I come to a decision, buddhi, then what? Decisive mode, buddhi, intellect. What does it do? Padartha adhyavasaya dharmataha. it comes to determine the truth of objects. Okay, this is this. This is to be done. This, the person who is coming, is this person. I have taken a decision. So far I was thinking, have I seen this person somewhere? Where have I seen? Did I see here in CIF? No. Maybe in Vibhuti? No. Sandipani? No. Somewhere else in some program? What is this mind? Then suddenly, this is that person. Now intellect has come, you see. Decisive mode. Intellect, decisive mode. This buddhyate, that by which we know. Knowledge has happened. So far thinking was going on, now the knowledge has happened. Buddhi. Then, atra abhimanad aham iti ahankriti. The third factor is ahankriti or ahankara. What is its function? What does it do? Aham karoti. It provides I to every thought. Thinking. We never say thinking. We say I am thinking. We say I know. I am confused. I got it. See, everywhere actually this thinking is mind's job. Knowing is intellect's job. Isn't it? But that I which is provided to all these is coming from this ahankara, ego. It is called as I thought, aham vritti. It provides I to every other thought. To every thought. Okay. Suppose I am seeing this object, watch. So the moment my eyes are perceiving the watch, a thought is created that this is watch. But actually the thought is what? I know this is watch. That I is provided by ahankara. That is its job. Therefore, atra abhimanan. It does the identification. Aham iti ahankriti. Aham iti ahankriti. It provides that I. That is called as ego, ahankara. It is a doer mode. It takes the responsibility. I. Who did this? I did. He becomes the doer. Doer mode is this ego. It provides I. Aham iti kriyate iti ahankara. Then what is the fourth factor? Chitta. Chittam, memory. What do you mean by memory? Swartha anusandhana gunena chittam. It is called chittam because it does anusandhana. Anusandhana, remembrance, remembering. What is that? Swartha. Swartha, whatever it wants to remember, it remembers. Careful. What it wants to remember, it remembers. Therefore, many times we are looking at something and suddenly we remember something. And we say it also. Then all the people are looking at you. What is this suddenly? No, that just I remembered. I looking at that person. It wanted to remember something else. It remembered. And other times when we want to remember, what is that? What is that verse? What is that verse? What is that verse? We are trying to remember. It doesn't come. Sometimes the names of people also, sudden, it is there. We say also, it is there in tip of my tongue. But it is not coming out. Means what? I am not remembering. What is it? What is it? What is the name? What is the name? And then suddenly, some other time. No, that occasion is over. We have slept nicely. Next day we have gotten up also. We are listening to Vishnu Sahasranama. We are cooking. Suddenly that thought comes. Are that person's name is that. And then you immediately call. Are yesterday I was telling you, no, that person's name. Now why are you remembering? Chitta wants to remember. No. Swartha anusandhana gunena chittam. What does it do? It is recollection mode. Recollection. Whatever has happened previously, whatever you know previously, incidents, experience, whatever you know, it remembers, it recollects. Recollection mode is memory. Chittam. Chetati anena. Chetati means it shines. It shines means it illumines that suddenly. So you imagine that there is an entire dark space and suddenly one spot comes on this one thought and then it becomes available to you. Okay? That is called as chittam. So these four, mana, buddhi, ahankara, chittam, they are called as antakarana. And as we saw last time, actually what is antakarana? Thoughts. Thoughts. Now based on what type of thought it is, we are giving a separate name. That's it. Basically they are thoughts. Right? So if the thoughts are of indecision, we say it is mind. If the thought is of decision, we call it as intellect. Now here please note, because it is finally thoughts, so the names are interchangeable. What do we mean by names are interchangeable? Sometimes we will just say mana, but what we mean is entire antakarana. While saying also we say, it slipped off my mind, or my mind is not able to remember. Actually remembrance is job of chitta, but we call it simply as mind. Sometimes buddhi word will be used for all. Entire antakarana will be called as buddhi. Sometimes chitta will be the word used for entire antakarana. Chitta shuddhi is actually antakarana shuddhi. It's a purification of inner instrument. Right? So please understand that this distinction that we are making is based on the type of thought, and therefore there are not these what we say closed compartments that this is mana, this is buddhi, nothing like that. They are thoughts. They are all together working. When I see somebody coming from far, remember all the four are working. My mind is throwing options, sankalpa, vikalpa. Vikalpa means options. It is giving me options. Is this hari or is this hara? Options it is giving. Options it is giving. Right? Now memory is collecting data as much as possible related to that form. Isn't it? Ahankara is saying, I think. I also is being provided. And finally, when you see the form clearly, when the memory and this picture has matched, memory says yes, then buddhi says, this is Hari. See, all four are working together. The distinction is only made by us for functionality purpose. Otherwise, basically all of them are thoughts. Is it clear? Because of that, somewhere else, in some other texts, you will see that they will say that this inner instrument, mana, mind, has only two things, aham vritti and idam vritti. The I thought and this thought. So ahankara they will put it separately, and remaining mana, buddhi, chitta they will put separately. In some cases only mana and buddhi will be mentioned. Chitta and ahankara is to be understood. So when you say mana, chitta is understood. When you say buddhi, ahankara is understood. The point is what? Antakarana is thoughts. You can classify them into various. Generally, it is classified into four. Therefore, we say antakarana chatushtaya, mana, buddhi, ahankara, chitta. Four. Is this also clear now? So, 5 organs of perception, 5 organs of action, together called as bahyendriya, and 4-fold inner instrument, antarindriya, antakarana. This much we have seen. Then what? Then next verse explained the physiological functions. Physiological functions are called as prāṇās. Prāṇās means vital airs. They are very vital for the body to continue to function. Body means for our entire being to function. Mind also works because of prāṇās only. Right? Prāṇās are giving what we say energy to everything, to body also. And therefore, when we run, then let me catch my breath. Why? Because prāṇās are generating energy. The body cannot function without them. Even mind. We will see later on also. When we are hungry, thirsty, etc., mind won't be able to think. We say, wait, let me eat something, then mind will function. What is this? Thirst, etc., hunger, these are functionalities of prāṇās only. We will see. So, the point is what? Prāṇās are physiological functions. So pancha prana, again 5 pranas are there. What are the 5 physiological functions? First one is called as prana. Prana is respiration. We have seen yesterday upper movement, pra plus an. Pra plus an. Upper movement, respiration. Inhalation, exhalation, respiration. Apana, apana. Apana means excretion, the downward movement. Then vyana, vyana, it goes vyapti, it goes everywhere. The movement is on all sides. That is circulation, blood circulation, nutrients, etc. All of that is circulated. Udana, ut-an. Ut means sudden upward reaction. So reverse reaction. That is called as udana. Samana, fifth one, digestion. It samikriyate, it makes everything settled. Saman. Now these 5, prana, apana, vyana, udana, samana, they are called by different names. Why? Vritti bhedat, due to difference in their functions. Vikriti bhedat, due to difference in their form, their modification. Where are they functioning? Where? What is their form? According to that, they are called by 5 different names. Again, here please note, basically pranas are vital airs which are carrying out physiological functions. Right? And therefore, they can be together called by first name itself, prana. Generally, when we say it is prana, prana means generally we refer to all 5 put together, and in special occasions we will say prana means respiration. Why? Because when we are mentioning all the pranas, then the first one has got a special meaning, that is respiration. Otherwise, prana in a general way, how do we translate prana? Vital airs, physiological functions. That's how we will translate prana. Now again here also please note, this prana is also part of subtle body only, not gross body. Can you see prana? You cannot see prana. No, but if I keep my finger here, no, I can feel the air. Isn't it? I can. But skin, if it is perceived by the outer sense organs, then it should become gross. No, the air that we feel is gross. But that air is sent out by that physiological function, that is subtle. The oxygen that is taken in, when we keep, you can feel little cold. When you exhale, you can feel little hot. That is air coming in and going out. But the power behind them, which is carrying out this function of respiration, that power is called as prana. Sometimes these pranas they will call as life. The word prana also sometimes they will use as life. You must have, his pranas have gone. Means what? Life has gone. Why? Because pranas are first indications. Somebody is dead or alive, how do we check? We keep the finger in the nose. Why? Whether breathing or not breathing. That is indication. That's why it is called by that name. But the point is what? These pranas are subtle, and according to their functions, they have been given 5 different names. So, pañca jnanendriya, pañca karmendriya, antahkarana chatushtaya, and pañca prana. So far we have seen this much, right? Now Shankaracharya puts all of that together and tells us what exactly is this subtle body. Let us read verse number 96. Vāgādi pañca, śravaṇādi pañca,
vāgādi pañca, śravaṇādi pañca,
prāṇādi pañcābhramukhāni pañca,
prāṇādi pañcābhramukhāni pañca,
buddhyādyavidyāpi ca kāmakarmaṇī,
buddhyādyavidyāpi ca karmaphalānubhāvakaṃ,
puryaṣṭakaṃ sūkṣmaśarīramāhuḥ,
puryaṣṭakaṃ sūkṣmasaṃjñitaṃ,
vāgādi pañca, śravaṇādi pañca, prāṇādi pañcābhramukhāni pañca buddhyādyavidyāpi ca kāmakarmaṇī puryaṣṭakaṃ sūkṣmasaṛīramāhuḥ. He says sūkṣmasaṛīramāhuḥ. This is called by the wise as sūkṣmasarīra, subtle body. What is that? vāgādi pañca. Pañca, 5. vāgādi. Adi means beginning with. The 5 beginning with vāk. Vāk means speech. So, what are the 5 that are beginning with vāk? So, vāk, pani, pada, payu, upastha. What are they called as? The karmendriyas. The 5 organs of action. vāgādi pañca. The 5 organs of action. śravaṇādi pañca. The 5 that begin with śravana. Śravana here means śrotram. Śravana etc. was said, no? Śravanam tvagakshi ghranam cha jivva. That is pañca. Śrotram tvak chakshuhu rasana ghranam. What are they? 5 organs of perception. 5 organs of action, 5 organs of perception. vāgādi pañca, śravaṇādi pañca. Okay, okay. prāṇādi pañca. The 5 beginning with prāṇa. What are they? Prāṇa, apana, vyāna, udana, samana. What are they? 5 physiological functions, 5 vital airs, 5 prāṇas. Then he says carefully, abhramukhāni pañca. The 5 beginning with abhra. What is abhra? Abhra means space. So, what are the 5 that begin with space? We know. What are they? Space, air, fire, water, earth. Isn't it? Akasha, vayu, adbhya, jala, prithvi. Akasha, vayu, agni, jala, prithvi. What are they? The 5 subtle elements. So, 5 organs of action, 5 organs of perception, 5 prāṇas, 5 subtle elements. Then buddhyādi. Buddhyādi. What is this buddhyādi? Antakarana chatushtaya. See, here he is not saying buddhyādi pañca. vāgādi pañca, śravaṇādi pañca, prāṇādi pañca, abhramukhāni pañca, buddhyādi. Why? Because buddhyādi is not pañca. 5 are not there. So, he says buddhyādi. Buddhyādi means what? Mana, buddhi, ahankara, chittam, antakarana chatushtaya. Then he says avidya. Avidya, right now you just write ignorance. We will see what is the meaning etc. later. Ignorance. Apicha, and also kāmakarmaṇī. Kāmakarmaṇī. Kama and karma. This kāmakarmaṇī, ni is dirgha because it is showing dvivachana. Dvivachana it is showing. Karma karmaṇī karmāni. Karma karmaṇī dvivachana. Kāmakarmaṇī. So, desire, kama, karma, action. Puryaṣṭakaṃ. These 8 factors. Swamiji, what 8 factors? Count. vāgādi pañca. 5 organs of action. Count them as 1. śravaṇādi pañca. 5 organs of perception. prāṇādi pañca. 5 prāṇas. abhramukhāni pañca. 5 subtle elements. buddhyādi antakarana chatushtaya. Right? Avidya, kama, karma. These 8 factors together are called as sūkṣmaśarīramāhuḥ, are called as subtle body. 5 organs of perception, 5 organs of action, 5 prāṇas, 5 subtle elements, antakarana chatushtaya, 4 inner instrument, then avidya, kama, karma. Right? Some people who have studied Vedanta before will we'll say some issues are there. Wait, see. Avidya to is Karana Sharira. Suddenly why is it coming in Sūkṣma Sharira? We'll see. We'll see. Next verse also we have to see, then we will be able to understand everything together. So let us read the next verse and understand, then we will reflect on that. Verse number 97. Idaṃ śrīraṃ śṛṇu sūkṣmasaṃjñitaṃ
Idaṃ śarīraṃ śṛṇu sūkṣmasaṃjñitaṃ
liṅgaṃ tvapañcīkṛtasaṃbhavam
liṅgaṃ tvapañcīkṛtasaṃbhavam
savāsanaṃ karmaphalānubhāvakaṃ
savāsanaṃ karmaphalānubhāvakaṃ
svājñānato'nādirupādhirātmanaḥ
svājñānato'nādirupādhirātmanaḥ
idaṃ śrīraṃ śrṇu sūkṣmasaṃjñitaṃ liṅgaṃ tvapañcīkṛtasaṃbhavam savāsanaṃ karmaphalānubhāvakaṃ svājñānato'nādirupādhirātmanaḥ. Idaṃ śrīraṃ, this body. Now here this means what? The body that we are seeing. We are not talking about gross body now. Idaṃ śrīraṃ śrṇu, śrṇu. Oh, my student, listen. Remember in the story, the teacher is telling this to the student, right? Idaṃ śrīraṃ sūkṣmasaṃjñitaṃ, which is called as sūkṣma. Saṃjñitaṃ means called, termed. Which is called as sūkṣma, subtle, is also called by another name, liṅgaṃ. Has got another name, liṅga sharira. So sūkṣma sharira is also called as liṅga sharira. Liṅga means what? Liṅga means indicator. That which indicates. What do you mean by that which indicates? It indicates whether the life is present or not present. It indicates where it is a being or an inert object. Whether it is a living being or an inert object. What is the difference? The difference is this liṅga. This liṅga sharira, one who has, there will be expression of life. Wherever there is liṅga sharira, sūkṣma sharira, there will be expression of life. So it indicates, it expresses life, and therefore it is called as liṅga sharira. It is an insignia of life, signature. Liṅga sharira is there means life is expressing. The moment liṅga sharira leaves, dead body. Gross body is there, but life has gone. Life has gone means the expression of life has gone. Means what? The sūkṣma sharira is gone. Therefore it is called as liṅga sharira. Another name. Tu apañcīkṛtasaṃbhavam. It is indeed that tvapañcī we should understand. Tvapañcī means what? Tu apañcīkṛta. What is it made up of? Apañcīkṛtasaṃbhavam. Sambhavam, it is born of. Born from what? Apañcīkrita bhuta. The bhuta, the elements which are apañcīkrita. Apañcīkrita, which have not undergone the process of pañcīkarana. What is the other name for this apañcīkrita bhuta? What are they called? Subtle elements. Okay. One more word. Tanmatra. That alone in their pure form. Remember the 5 elements in their pure form. Then what happens? Then pañcīkarana happens and they are mixed with all the other 4 also. Then they become gross. Right? But this subtle body is made up of subtle elements. So gross body is made up of gross 5 elements. Subtle body is made up of subtle 5 elements. So even our thoughts, careful, even our thoughts and all the powers of indriyas, the powers of pranas, all of them are formed by what? By the 5 subtle elements. Therefore, when we speak of bhautika jagat, the world which is created by bhutas, panchabhutas, it includes gross world as well as subtle world. Why? Because subtle world is also created by subtle elements only. It is also bhuta sambhavan. Apañcīkṛta, agreed. It is made up of subtle elements, but it is still made up of elements. Apañcīkṛta bhuta sambhavam. Okay, up to here no problem. No problem. This subtle body is called as linga sharira. Okay, accepted. It is made up of 5 subtle elements. That is also accepted. Now, what is he saying? Savāsanaṃ. Sa means along with, sahita. Along with vasanas. What is this vasanas? See, actually there is no equivalent English word for vasana. But you can, for sake of understanding, you can call it as impressions. Impressions. This vasana, interesting word, very interesting word. Vasana comes from root vas. It cannot come from that root. Vas means to stay. Means what? That which stays. It doesn't go. It stays. What do you mean by impression? You see, when we are experiencing something, anything that we experience, a kind of impression is created based on that experience. That impression is called as vasana. Let us take an example. Suppose I am new to any place. I go there for the first time. So now obviously if I am going there for the first time, I don't have any vasana, any previous impressions of that place. I don't have, because I am going there for the first time. But I do have impressions about my habits, all my habits, no? What kind of food I like, what kind of places I like to visit, all that is there. Now somebody tells me that in this new place, if you want to eat good North Indian food, because you are from North India, now you have come to South India, so obviously not many hotels etc. you can eat good North Indian food. If you want to eat, this is the place. Now remember what has happened? Have I experienced it yet? No. I have my previous impressions of North Indian food which I like. But this place I have not yet experienced. Now just now somebody has told me, so I go there. Then what happens? I eat. Now two possibilities are there. What? Either I like or I don't like. Just because it is North Indian food doesn't mean no, I will like. So both possibilities are there. Both are stored as impressions. If you like, it will be stored as impression that this was good. This is good. If you don't like, not that good. Both are stored as impressions. This is called as vasanas. The impressions that are stored from an experience. So the experience goes, but the impressions stay. That's why vasana, was to stay. Now many times what happens is, we forget the experience, but the impressions stay. Careful. We forget the experience, but the impression stays. Why you don't like cabbage? You can't give answer. No, I don't like from childhood. But something must have happened because of which you don't. That I don't remember, but I don't like. See, the experience because of which that impression is created that you don't like cabbage, that experience is forgotten. But the impression has stayed. Not only that, the impressions stay even in other births. So something that was experienced very strongly in my previous birth, experience though I don't even remember. I don't remember my previous birth at all, but the impression stays. That's why some people are from childhood, they are afraid of fire. Some are afraid of water. Some are, some like some kind of food. Some don't like. From where are these impressions coming? How can you have, if you have never experienced fire, how can you be scared of it? If you have never eaten any particular, vegetable, etc., how can you not like it? Impression is there from the past. Some people like sweet from childhood. Some people like spicy food from childhood. Some children you must have seen, they just eat lemon. Have you seen? They just take lemon, cut it and eat. Whereas other person, what are you doing? Some people take salt and they eat. Some people take sugar and they eat. Some people put chili powder on top of anything and eat. How are these differences coming? Because of impressions. We may forget the incidents, experience, but we remember the impressions. And remember, those impressions are not seen unless they show themselves. These impressions are extremely subtle. You don't even, suppose I tell you, you list down all your impressions. You cannot. You cannot. Only at that right time it comes out, it expresses. So these impressions that are stored are called as vasanas. He says savāsanaṃ along with vasanas, which means what? He says vasanas are also part of subtle body. Note this. In all other texts, vasanas will be put as karana śarīraṃ. Vivekachoodamani, Shankaracharya puts vasana in subtle body. We will see why. We will see why, but that's what he does. In Shankaracharya's text itself, he will put vasana in karana śarīraṃ, okay, in other texts. Why is he putting it like this here? We will understand why. But savāsanaṃ, this sūkṣmaśarīraṃ is along with vasanas. And what? Karmaphalānubhāvakaṃ. It is cause for anubhava. Anubhava of what? Karmaphala, result of action. Means what? It is the cause because of which I experience results of my actions. Just now we saw, whenever I am doing any particular action, an impression is created out of that action. Correct? At the same time, a result is also created of that action. Every single action that I am doing, these two things are created. Impression, vasana, and result, karmaphala. A karmaphala is of two types, punya and papa. We know, good action with good intention will create punya. Bad action or with bad intention will create papa. Now this punya papa is called karmaphala. This punya papa comes in our life as what? As sukha and dukkha, respectively. So punya results in sukha, papa results in dukkha. And how am I experiencing this sukha and dukkha? By this subtle body. Sukha and dukkha is part of subtle body. These are thoughts. They are subtle body. Therefore, it is said here, karmaphalānubhāvakaṃ. It is the cause for the experience of result of action, karmaphala. Means what? Any time you are happy, it is the result of punya karma that you have done in the past. As simple as that. Any time you are sad, it is the result of papa karma that you have done in the past. Which means what? Nobody in the whole world can make you happy or sad other than yourself. No, Swamiji, I am sad because somebody said something. No. No. You are sad and that sorrow is result of your past actions. You were bound to be sad. Why? Because you have already booked your own flight back then. You had to travel. There is no option. It is like ball, no? Cricket ball. You throw it on top. Throw it up. You forget that you have thrown the ball up. After some time it comes and hits your own head. It happens sometimes, These cricketers, etc., they take a catch and in enjoyment, because I took a catch, they throw it and then they are, clapping each other, etc., and the ball comes and hits on their head only. Now somebody, you start looking, who threw, are you only. You only had thrown it up, now it has come back to you. Don't blame others for your sukha dukkha. Why? Because sukha dukkha is a result of punya papa which is created by you in the past. Now what is the job of subtle body? It gives you what we say an opportunity to experience this sukha and dukkha. Karmaphalānubhāvakaṃ. It is cause for the experience. It is not cause for sukha and dukkha. Please understand. That subtle body is not a cause for your sukha dukkha. Subtle body is cause for experience of sukha dukkha. Sukha dukkha is caused by your own punya papa. Right? Subtle body is only creating that environment in which you can experience this sukha and dukkha. That's it. Karmaphalānubhāvakaṃ. Every word is so important. Savāsanaṃ karmaphalānubhāvakaṃ. Next, what does he say? Svājñānataḥ. Due to ignorance of oneself, svājñānataḥ, due to ignorance of oneself, anādihi upādhihi ātmanaḥ. This subtle body is anādi upādhi. Anādi upādhi, beginningless conditioning of the self. Atmanaḥ, of the self. What do you mean by upādhi? Earlier also this word had come, but we have used it in a different way. Now let us understand the word properly. Word upādhi has got two factors. Upa, adhi. Upa plus adhi, upādhi. Upa means near. Where this word had come? Upa means near. Guru upasadana, upasana, upanishad. Remember? Guru upasadana, staying near. Upavasa, so many words we have used so far. Upa means near, samipe. And adhi means to throw. Adhikshepane, to throw. So upādhihi is equal to what? Write the meaning. First you write in Sanskrit, then we will see in English also. Upa samipe sthitva. Upa samipe sthitva. Svīyan gunan anyatra adadhati. Anyatra adadhati iti upādhihi. This is called as upādhi. Upādhi means what? Upa samipe sthitva, staying near. Svīyan gunan, one's own characteristics. Anyatra adadati, throws somewhere else. That is called as upādhi. Samipe sthitva, svīyan gunan anyatra adadati. Upasamipe sthitva means what? This upādhi, it stays near an object and throws its properties on that object. Example, suppose there is a crystal, there is a prism, crystal is there. Now, the moment you keep blue cloth in vicinity of that crystal, near that crystal, what happens? The crystal appears blue. Isn't it? Careful. Actually, the crystal is colorless. Isn't it? That's why you will see what is on the other side if there is nothing. But what happens? In that crystal, because something is taken. Now what? That blue cloth is upādhi of crystal. Means what? Staying near, it throws its properties. What are its properties? Blueness on the other object. It's called as upādhi. So when we speak of anatma, not self, we are actually talking about upadhi. What is not me but appearing to be me, that is called as anatma, that is called as upadhi. So you can say anatma is of three: sthula sharira, sūkṣma sharira, karana sharira. You can also say these are the three upadhis of the self, of me. Upadhis means what? Something that is not me stays near me and throws its properties on me. That is called as upadhi. Means what? I am not the body, but body stays near me and poses to be me. Means what? It throws its properties on me. I say, I am not well, I am a man, I am short, I am old. All these are the properties of the gross body, we have seen. But it stays near and it throws its properties on the self. Similarly, mind. Similarly, the subtle body. Subtle body is the second upadhi. First upadhi we have seen is gross body. Now the subtle body is second upadhi. What does it do? It also stays near and throws its properties on the self. I am thirsty, I am hungry, I am sad, I am happy, I am understanding, I am not understanding anything. Actually, all these are properties and functions of the indriyas, pranas and mind, etc. But they are superimposed, they are thrown on me. The subtle body is also upadhi. But what is the speciality of this upadhi? Anadi upadhi. It is beginningless upadhi. Gross body is not beginningless. And therefore, you have date of birth. That's how you celebrate your birthdays. There was a time when it became upadhi for me. And of course, when there will be beginning, there will be end also. So, under a picture, you write both dates from this to this. This body expressed or this body was the upadhi of the self. There is a beginning, there is an end. For gross body. For subtle body, can you tell me what is the beginning? No. Why? Because the subtle body keeps on traveling from one gross body to another, another. From when? Since when? Beginningless time. But it is beginningless doesn't mean it is endless. It will end. It will end on realization. That we will see. That's not the topic now. Now the topic is what? Atmanaha anadihi upadhi. It is the beginningless conditioning. The word conditioning is what we use for upadhi. Again, as I told you, there are these English terms are not exact. Just for our understanding we use. Vasana is much more than just impressions. Upadhi is much more than just a conditioning. But for the sake of communication, we are using these terms. So, when I say impressions, remember vasanas. Most of the times I will use the word vasana as it is, word upadhi as it is. Why? Because the English equivalent are not exactly communicating what we want to say. Right? So, this is anadi upadhi. It is the beginningless conditioning of the self. Now, so what is this verse saying? This verse is telling me that this sūkṣma sharira, subtle body, is also called as liṅga sharira because it is an insignia of life. Okay. It is made up of 5 subtle elements. Okay. It is along with vasanas. Okay. It is cause of experience of my results of actions. Karmaphalānubhāvakaṃ. Okay. And svājñānato'nādirupādhirātmanaḥ, due to one's ignorance or due to the ignorance of the self, which is beginningless, this upadhi of subtle body is also beginningless. You cannot tell at one particular time subtle body became your upadhi. No, you cannot tell like that. Right? This much we have seen about the subtle body. Now what? Generally, you study in other texts. They will say subtle body is made up of 17 factors. Huh? 17 factors? Just now we said 8 factors. What are the 17 factors they refer to? Pañca jnanendriya, they measure all 5. Not pañca jnanendriya as 1. Here how we did was all 5 put together as 1. No. Pañca jnanendriya 5. Panchakarmendriya 5, 5, 5, 10. Panchaprāṇa 5, 15. Mana and buddhi. Mind and intellect. Already I have told you. When you say mind, chitta is included. When you say buddhi, ahankara is included. So basically, 5 organs of perception, 5 organs of action, 5 pranas and 4 antakarana is what is called as sūkṣmaśarīra generally. That's why if you would have seen, before combining it, he has only explained these 4 things. Jnanendriya, karmendriya, pranas and antakarana. That's it. That's what he explained. But then while putting together, he has added some things. Ajnana, kama, karma. Now in this verse, vasana. Isn't it? Anadi upadi. Why? Let us understand one by one. He has also included the 5 subtle elements in the subtle body. How? Isn't it? You see, in the above verse 96, he says, pañcābhramukhāni pañca. And then verse 97, he says, apañcīkṛtasaṃbhavam. So in one place, in one verse, he is saying that subtle elements are part of subtle body. In the next verse, he says that subtle body is made up of subtle elements. So what to understand? Let us see, one by one we will go. So 5 subtle elements are considered part of subtle body because the cause is nothing but effect, or rather the effect is nothing but cause in different form. Isn't it? The glass in which we drink water is also called as glass because it is made up of glass. It is as simple as that. It is made up of glass, but it is also called as glass. So the effect is nothing but cause only in different form. Therefore, even if somebody includes the 5 subtle elements into subtle body, that's okay. That's okay. Now remember, all these explanations that we are giving now, many people will say, not required. We believe in Shankaracharya. If Shankaracharya is included, there must be reason. So this further explanation is not for them. But I am sure there will be few people who will say, why? How can ignorance come as subtle body? How can vasanas be part of subtle body? How can karma is physical, how can it be part of subtle body? For them, this explanation is given. I am also warning that you may not understand all the aspects of this explanation. As we keep studying further, the previous points will get clarified. And it is not right for me to explain everything right now also. Okay, just understand that he is explaining, he is including all these things in subtle body. Why? That's the only thing that you need to understand. So 5 subtle elements are included in the subtle body, not as the subtle elements, but as the effect of those subtle elements, which is the subtle body. Then next is ignorance. How can ignorance be part of subtle body? Ignorance, we say, is causal body. Isn't it? Karana śrīraṃ kim anirvācya anadi avidya rūpam. Very clearly, Shankaracharya himself in another text is saying ajnana is part of causal body. Then why ajnana is taken here as subtle body? Because ajnana is of 2 types. One is called as āvaranātmaka, another is called as vikṣepātmaka. Or sometimes they will call as mūla ajnana and tūla ajnana. Mūla avidya and tūla avidya. Sometimes they will say karana avidya or karana ajnana and karya ajnana. Sometimes they will use the 2 words ajnana and adhyasa. Ajnana, ignorance. Adhyasa, superimposition. In Gurudev's terms, if I have to say, non-apprehension and misapprehension. Remember that misapprehension is actually non-apprehension only in a different form. So when here Shankaracharya is including ajnana as subtle body, he is referring to misapprehension, which is part of subtle body. Non-apprehension, tūla ajnana, āvaranātmaka ajnana, karana ajnana is part of causal body. He will himself explain it later. Maya also he will take it as causal body, and that time he will say Maya has 2 powers. Avarana, veiling, and vikshepa, projecting. Now this veiling is the aspect of causal body, projecting is the aspect of subtle body. I don't know covered ajnana, but I think This is, I think, is the projection which happens. I think, thinking is antakarana, isn't it? So it is added as subtle body. So here ajnana, we are not talking about mula ajnana. We are not talking about that avaranatmaka ajnana. We are not talking about karana ajnana. We are talking about adhyasa, superimposition. Okay. So that's how he includes ajnana in subtle body. Next, kama. Kama is basically desire. Desire arises in mind. But already mind was included in the buddhyādi. Then why kama specially? He just wants to say that different kinds of thoughts. Kama is upalakshana. Upalakshana means we mention one and imply other, all other. That is called as upalakshana. Śravaṇādi. You are mentioning śravana, but you are indicating what? All the 5 organs of perception. Similarly here, kama is an upalakshana. Upalakshana means you are telling one, but you take everything. Bradaranyaka Upanishad Shruti is there, no? Kama sankalpa, sandeho, shraddha shraddhe, dhriti adhritihi, rihi, dhihi, bhihi, ityetat sarvam mana eva. So different kinds of thoughts. All of them are put together under one word, kama, desire. Right? It is upalakshana for all kinds of thoughts. So what he means, all kinds of thoughts are part of subtle body, which we know that they are part of subtle body. So there is no problem with that also. Also, he could have used any other type of thought as upalakshana for all thoughts. He is mentioning kama. Why? Because that is our main enemy. All other thoughts are born out of this kama only. Desire only gives rise to everything. Kama janami. Kama is the main problem. Right? So kama. Karma. Karma is action. Action is physical. See, you lifted this watch and you kept it here. It's action physical. How can karma be part of subtle body? See, the karma action may be physical, but intention is subtle. Doership is subtle. In Bhagavad Gita, etc., 4th chapter, we study what is karma. What is the tattva of karma? Karma, akarma, vikarma, etc. will be explained in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4. There he says, what is action? Action is nothing but doership. When there is kartrutva, there is karma. If that kartrutva is not there, even if physically it is an action, it is not called as action. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4. For more details, you go there. It will say, karmani akarmayah pashyet, akarmani cha karmayah sabuddhiman manushyeshu sayuktah kritsna karmakrit. Bhagavan Shri Krishna will say, karmani akarmay, one who sees inaction in action and one who sees action in inaction. Means what? Simply put, action is action because there is doership behind action. If there is no doership behind action, that action is not called as action. Simple example. You kick somebody, there is a doership involved, therefore it is an action. But suppose you are sleeping and by mistake your leg touches that person. That is also, see, the action is same. Your leg touching that person. But in sleep you are not aware. There is no doership. It is not called as action. In the waking, suppose you kick somebody, they will be angry on you. In sleep, suppose your leg touches, they will not be angry. Why? Because they understand the fellow is sleeping. So action is actually because of doership. That doership is part of subtle body, ahankara. Therefore, karma is included in subtle body. Or another way, very simple. Karma here refers to karmaphala. Punya papa rupa, prarabdha sanchita, etc. Then it will become part of subtle body. Why? Because that is not seen by our sense organs. Right? So then karma also will become part of subtle body. Why vasanas are subtle body? Because here vasanas are not used in a technical sense of vasanas, which are on the causal body level. Here vasanas are simply used as samskaras, some tendencies, let us put like that. So when we use the word vasana, you can bring two English words to your mind: impressions and tendencies. Impressions and tendencies. As impressions, it is part of causal body. As tendencies, it is part of subtle body. Some basic tendencies we have, no? The way we dress up, the way we walk. This is all you can say is an extremely subtle, but it's still a thought. And the moment you call it as thought, it is part of subtle body. Therefore, here Shankaracharya is including vasanas as that samskara, that upsurge of emotions, etc. when it comes. It's still subtle only. Right? That is why he is including vasana also in subtle body. And why it is called as anadi upadhi? For one reason, that ajnana is included in this and ajnana is anadi, beginningless. Therefore, subtle body is also beginningless. Another way we have also seen that it is always with us. Till the time liberation happens, it will always be with us. Even though gross bodies keep changing, we take up different gross bodies, the subtle body remains. Therefore, it is also anadi upadhi, it is called anadi upadhi, that is also correct. Okay. That much is sufficient for today. In the next session, first we will see what is this concept of anadi, and then we will go forward. Okay. For next session, today too many things, technical things, sufficient. All right. Chalo. We will conclude. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.